right, and we're live.
All right, fantastic. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great, Dan. How are you?
Awesome, doing well. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 5 of What to Say Now. This is your weekly web show where we tackle the really challenging stuff when it comes to interpersonal communication, both one-to-one and one-to-many. We believe that the world gets better through conversation, so we're inviting you today to join us as we have one about those really sticky, hard to handle, cringe-worthy conversations that we find ourselves in from time to time. Can
Much
you
like
relate to that?
what's going on right
Yeah, have you had a few of those?
now. One or two, maybe.
Just a couple here or there? All
Yeah.
right. Well, I mean, they can happen to all of us in our businesses, right? From time to time, we've got maybe it's an employee or a partner, and they're engaging in something in a way that we feel, we need to respond. We need to respond instantly and get them to change that behavior. And that's a critical moment. It's a critical moment in your business for sure. Another example, happy Father's Day, by the way, to all the other dads out there. I've got 3 kids, right? And when you're in the process of raising children, you run into all sorts of those critical corrective conversations, okay? You know you'd like your child to behave one way, and yet they're behaving a completely different way. So what we're going to talk about today is a framework where whether it's a business conversation or a personal conversation, you're going to have the tools that you need to be able to engage with that person in the right way and help them see it from a different perspective. Does that sound useful, Brian?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And here's my phone ringing. Let me just go ahead and turn that off. All right, so yeah, it's absolutely useful. There's all sorts of times this can be useful for us in our careers, in our businesses, and most especially at home with our family. So do you have a behavior someone in your life is exhibiting, Brian, that you just like to change? Is there a scenario where, you know, either in business or your personal life, you're like, I need to say something and I don't know quite what?
Uh, all day, every day. You see these conversations all the time on Facebook, and you're like, maybe it's best that I just bypass that and keep scrolling. In the real estate industry, everyone does everything their own way, and it's really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
One of the examples that you shared earlier, which I mean is golden because it happens all the time, is hey, this is Brian. I was wondering if you could show me a home. We're sitting in front of it. Would you be able to show this to me in 5, 10, 15 minutes?
Don't you just love that, listing agents, right? It's great. Yay, there's a buyer who's interested in the property. And oh gosh, they're not giving you any kind of heads up. And despite the fact you've filled out the showing instructions, despite the fact you've told them exactly what the process should be, they're doing something completely different. So that's a good example, right?
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in that situation as the listing agent, here's a framework that I'm going to teach you. It's going to be useful for resolving that, okay? It's called when you, that's step 1, I feel, step 2, and then step 3 is because. So when you, I feel, because. So easy to remember, right? So now you can just slot in any situation, and we'll use this one as an example. So in this case, Brian, I'm the listing agent, and you're the buyer, the buyer's agent. You've got people there, you're ready, and you go, oh gosh, Brian, I love the fact that you've got people who are interested in my home. That's fantastic. The issue is that when you only give us a few minutes notice, I feel like neither of us are really in a great position to get this home sold because we're just not giving the seller chance to get out, chance to make sure that the house is in the best condition possible. So what I'd really love is if you could just take a peek at those showing instructions so we can give our seller time to make sure that your buyers are going to see the home in its best possible condition. Does that sound okay, right? It's much better way to bring that person around than just, starting to have these objections. So let's talk about why that works, okay? The reason the when you, I feel, because communication framework is effective is because it gives the person an out, right? You're not calling them names. You're not creating a scenario for them where they feel painted in a corner. In fact, you're helping them understand how it's in their best interest to see things your way. So, what other examples do we have, Brian? Where else in your life are you running into that issue?
Well, with all of this stuff going on, obviously we're all working from home a lot. And one of the things that really frustrates me is when my wife will come in and be like, hey, do you mind making lunch? Or can you run and do this errand for me real quick? I'm like, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm trying to work. I have this job that I've got to do. And sometimes, oh, well, you're at home, so you're not really working, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are getting that right now. So kind of what would be a great way to kind of overcome something like that?
Well, this is where learning happens, right? It's when you start to apply it yourself.
Yeah.
So I feel because. So in the when you spot, that's where you insert the behavior, right? And you just want to re-explain that. So, when you open the office door and you ask me if I can run an errand, I feel, right? And then that's where you state exactly that, how that makes you feel. I feel a great sense of pressure because I love you and I care about you. And yeah, I'd love to serve us by running that errand right now. However, I also feel like if I don't take care of this business, we're going to have more trouble, right? So I'd really appreciate it if, we can engage at a scheduled time. I feel because, right?
Very nice.
So,
yeah. There's a lot of research around the use of the word because. And it's amazing. I saw one study where, essentially what they did was they went to a grocery store, they had 2 items in their hand, and they would go and ask, hey, do you mind if I cut in front of you?
Right.
And they would do that for, 20, 50 people. And then they would change it up and say, hey, do you mind if I cut in front of you because I've only got 2 items and I'm really in a hurry?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. I love that study because it shows it doesn't have to be a good reason.
Right.
You just have to have a reason.
And it was like when you use the word because, like 90% of people were okay with it. When you use the word because, like only 33% allowed them to go in front.
Yeah.
Or something. I mean, it was just like a crazy difference.
It makes a big difference. Yeah, people are willing to put up with almost anything as long as you create expectations and give them a reason, right? So, there's all sorts of ways you can leverage what we're teaching here. I feel because it can work for you in situations like, well, let's use customer service as an example. Have you ever had an issue with a company? Can't imagine that. None of us have ever had a problem with something being on our American Express charge that we didn't actually purchase. There's all sorts of things that we run into in life. And I'll tell you that having hired a number of contractors over the years, when you're working with a construction professional, there's often opportunities to use this kind of language, right? So maybe you've sat down with the general contractor and you've agreed what's going to happen, and then that message didn't get communicated to the subcontractors, right? Maybe you've hired a staging company or a photographer. They're involved now at your listing, and you and the seller have had a conversation about how that's supposed to go, and you've got to now get this third party to do it the way that you want it to be done instead of the way they traditionally do. So that's a great place to insert the I feel because framework. It can be very, very effective for you in that scenario. So I hope that that's helpful for you. I'm sure that it will be if you put it to use. And I want to point out just a couple of things here while we've got the time, Brian. Let's be sure to mention what we've got coming up. Okay.
All right.
Towards the end of the month, Tuesday the 27th, I believe, I have a special guest who's going to be joining us, and I'm excited about this guy. His name is Andre Lujan, and he owns a company called Shore Capital. So if you're in the real estate space and you'd like to consider getting a mortgage license so that you can earn a commission for the mortgage work as well as the real estate work, you should definitely attend this. And you know, I love this issue because when I ask about it previously, I have people in the group who say things like, I love it. That would be fantastic. Sign me up. And I have others who are like, not only would I not do it, it's unethical, it's illegal, and it's just plain wrong. So I can't wait to have Andre on live so we can ask him about these things face to face. So Brian, do you have anything else you'd like to add today?
You mean people on Facebook are very extreme to either end? No.
Can you imagine? Yeah, can you imagine? Just crazy. All right, guys.
We've had several webinars. We're in the process of updating our site to make it much more user-friendly, speed-friendly, and everything. We've got a lot of webinars that we're getting posted up there that we've had in the past that have been great. So we'll share a link with those when they're ready for prime time.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of stuff going on, and it's going to be a really exciting next couple of weeks.
There's a lot of good stuff in the hopper, and I want to say hello to a few of our friends who are logged in right now. So big shout out to Anthony Malafronte. Yes, sir, we can get together for those beers in the very near future, I promise. Ryan Bowcross, I will clean out a stall for you at a moment's notice. You're welcome to come to Tampa. Bring the COVID with you. We'll get along just fine. It'll be great. And Mike Prudente, I see you there, my brother. I do. When you, I feel because is going to help you like you can't even imagine the next time you're dealing with hotel staff that just doesn't want to get things set up the right way for the event. So that's all good language stuff, and I hope that you'll find it helpful. Oh, Amanda Thomas is here too. A big shout out to Amanda. So great to see you guys today. I look forward to the next episode of What to Say Now. We will be live every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I encourage you to join the What to Say Now Facebook group, which is up at facebook.com/groups/What to Say Now. Myself and my writing staff, we pay attention to that group 24 hours a day. We do not sleep. And whenever you have any kind of communication issue, maybe you've got a letter you need to write, maybe you're having difficulty getting the response you're hoping for from a segment of your database, post the question in there. We're all over it. We'll get that resolved for you.
Absolutely.
So until next week, I'm Dan Stewart signing out. Thank you for coming today. And Brian, thank you very much for joining me.
Anytime, Dan. My pleasure.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.